Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Everhart Museum's second Sunday series, Folk Arts. We want to thank the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts for their partnership in folk and traditional arts, that the Everhart is very honored to be partners with them to help bring forth the folk and traditional artists of this six-county region of Pennsylvania. My name is Kimberly Crafton, and I am the Folk and Traditional Arts Coordinator at the Everhart Museum. And we're pleased today to be broadcasting from the studio of Maxwell, Kofi, Donkor, who is a person that I have great honor to be introducing you today. But first, again, we want to talk just briefly about this partnership, because the preservation and the sharing of traditional and folk arts is the entire heart of it. So all across these counties, the six-county region, in the Endless Mountains we have Susquehanna and Wyoming counties. In the Valley cities we cover Lackawanna and Luzerne County. And then finally in the Pocono Mountains, Wayne and Pike counties. And all throughout these diverse communities, these diverse regions, there is a community that many of whom are connected, some of whom have yet to meet. But we would like to introduce you today to someone who's been practicing in all of those regions for a long time. You have a history in the Pocono Mountains, all through Scranton and Wilkes-Barre and all the little towns in between. And of course in the Endless Mountains, you're well known as well. Probably across the entire East Coast,
Yes.
if possible.
Thank you.
So we're so happy to be in your home today,
Yeah.
surrounded by not only your creations, but the energy of centuries and generations behind you that you bring into focus through these pieces of art behind me and through your music. And so thank you again.
Thank you for coming up. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great to sort of, get a chance to share, a little bit about the arts and, what it brings us and what motivates us to do what we do.
I think it's amazing that we're meeting on a Mother's Day,
Oh, yes.
because there's probably no one in my life who has helped me to understand the relationship, and a very complex relationship, that of mother and child. It's a day that some people find a lot of joy in because they have a very good and nourishing relationship with their mother.
Yep.
And for other people, it's a day of great challenge because we have complexities in those relationships as well that are not always in a good place when Mother's Day rolls around. So, but again, just to, I think today we can really discuss a little bit about what you've, over the years, taught me about that relationship and how much you've enriched my life with that knowledge from your traditional background. So let's start with, boy oh boy, I'd love to start maybe just with a song. Could we do a song to welcome everyone celebrating Mother's Day today?
Sure, I think we should. Yes, we should. And, it's amazing thinking about, the connection between the mother and the child. Yeah. So this song is called Pete Pete. And those of you at home, all you have to know to call back to me is Seniwa Didende, and then Seniwa. So let's try it out. Seniwa Didende, Seniwa. Good. So I will call Pete Pete, then you respond. Seniwa Didende, Seniwa. Good. You see, you got a voice. You got a great voice out there, Kim. Yeah. So, Mami refrain, Seniwa Didende. Yes, and basically with a beat and talking about mother. This is the mother drum. I don't think you might see it over there, but that is the mother drum here. It's one of the drums that have been used for years, Yeah. So let's try it. Better, better, Seniwa Didende.
warn you about these things that you're going to have to sing on these programs.
Of course, we try to try to get you to get into all the syncopations and the rhythms and things like that, which I think is great. You know, yeah.
So you had an amazing but short experience with your mother.
Yes, yes, yes. I think it's something that whole vacuum that will continue to remain, not only in me, but like all my brothers and sisters. You know, 10 of us we lost 2, but we you know, you can't forget. I was sort of a little bit older enough, like 14 years old, you know, when she passed away my first year in the high school, at Catholic High School, St. Peter's. And my youngest sister in Canada, you know, Agnes Akosia, she was like 6 months. So that was kind of pretty tough. So she had to learn who our mother
through
was,
your
through
memories.
all of us, yes, through my older sister.
So she had a mosaic of a mother.
Yep.
Stories and memories that she tried to piece together into that vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an amazing experience. I mean, she was loving, and she was a teacher, you know. So basically, it's so interesting that, you know, I got a chance to connect with him the way it happened, you know, because I mean, all my brothers and sisters went to, kindergarten, but I never went to, because I was so close to her, you know. I learned how to cook from her. I'll be in the classroom with her, and surprisingly, those days, you know, in Ghana, West Africa, I mean, she was able to take me to the classroom. So
she was a teacher.
Yes.
And you were the
class 2. Yes.
We call that the tag along. You know, the one who always is there.
I'm always kind of like, you know, by her. Yeah, never let her go. Holding on to her clothing, you know, and, you know, gravitating. And when she passed on, my dad was worried about me because of how close-knit I was with her, you know. But then I was in high school, boarding school, you know, and that is the kind of high schools that we have in Ghana in those days, you know. So, it wasn't easy to kind of, you know, hear that, you know, I can't see her again, you know, coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us about your village in Ghana where you grew up, and just a little bit about how that was part of that relationship with her and your family dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, mother is everything, basically, you know. And I think a lot of times, those of us in the Western world gets a very different perception. You know, the mother is like the pillar. I mean, the men are there and they are showcased, you know. But then those who are really holding the fort are the mothers, you know. And again, it relates to nature, because when you talk about mother, we call the earth Asasi Ya, and we believe Asasi Ya, it's like Ya is a girl, a name for a girl born on, you know, Thursday, you know. So Asasi Ya is recognized as the Mother Earth, and you have to really, you know, connect with her and you know, really respect, do all the things that you do. So you grow up with this kind of connection, you know, and you know, when you're hungry, who do you go to? You go to mom, you know. You want to talk about something, even when you want to get something to daddy, you go to mom, because a lot of times daddies in those eras were more like, you know, macho, you know, very difficult sometimes for them to even open up, you know.
So you go for your ally, the mother.
That's the point.
Mother Earth.
Yep, or grandmother, you know. So you kind of try to kind of have those, and you know, when grandmother comes, she takes over, you know, basically. So the mother figure is so vital, and it runs through every, I would say, fiber of the society. So that is why it also puts this on unimaginable bearing on mothers, you know,
A
because
burden on mothers,
you
yeah.
feel like you need to, you know, be there, you know. So they take so much, and I believe you could relate to it, you know, everywhere in the world, and you know, they multitask and do all the things that, you know, you would never think. And growing up, I began to realize, oh wow, what a world, you know. And another thing that we need to know is that even in the village, basically, because our society is more homogeneous, I mean, politics, when a king or a chief passes away, the family converge around like the queen mother, you know, who is there. And she actually makes the final decision, especially with the Asante tradition, to actually allow or endorse, you know, the next king. So it could be in the family. Basically, that's the line. And if grandmother says no, it's no. So sometimes, you know, the society were there without a king or
Until the right
a
person
chief
comes
till
along.
you know, the queen mother says yes. You know, so the politics is all around, you know, the grandmother. And
In your traditions.
yes, and she will look for, you know, certain qualities. So basically, even if you are the oldest and they feel like, man, you're not being responsible or carrying the traditions, you know, they will self-style you.
Yeah.
And, you know, make sure that they get, you know, one of the children in line who is in tune with all the traditions.
Yep, has it
and
right
the balance.
through, yeah.
Yes. So
Wow.
it's interesting, you know, when you look at mothers and the way they are recognized, you know, from culture to culture or, you know, place to place. And I think there is always that underlying fact, you know, that yes, mothers are it, you know, mothers really hold that fort. It doesn't mean that every mother, you know, I mean, we can have everything smoothly, but generally, a mom is so burdened with the responsibility of not only children, but, you know,
Yeah.
trying to keep the fort.
And with everything, that balance between, you know, energy that you would classify as feminine and energy that you would classify as masculine.
Yes.
That balance is always what's so important.
Yeah.
But so much of certain kinds of mechanics happen in what is traditionally that feminine or that, you know,
Yeah.
that mother energy. And it seems to me that kind of from going from that really holding on that you did with your mother, from there you went into a deeper relationship with the Mother Earth energy. And that became your source of nourishment and balance. And yesterday I had the joy, of course, I've seen almost no one in the last year, but outdoors I was able to gather with some friends who had a 3-year-old son. And he was flying across the woods as we were all walking and fell down and instantly begins to cry, but came running immediately to the mother and saying, it's here, pointing to his knee, like, this is the place where I hurt.
Yes.
It's right here. And she said, do you need a kiss right there? And he put his little knee right up to her lips, and she kissed it, and everything was done. It was over.
It's magic.
And one of the adults said, you know, don't you wish that that was still possible? And I said, you know what? I think it may still be. If we could identify, it's here, or where is the place? Can we identify that place where we hurt and then connect as you do? I know all the time you have a lot of places where it hurts.
Yes.
And when you need that kiss from the mother, I don't mean to make you cry, and I'm going to cry here too.
Yeah.
We must go and say, please, it hurts here.
Yeah.
Help me.
Yeah. It does. It is really real. And, you know, many a times I think a lot of the experiences that we have is so demonstrated in the way we, you know, sort of make music, you know, and do that because, you know, there's so much that the earth and Mother Nature, every time you look at it, just going out for a walk, getting out of whether it's a big or small house or whatever it is, just letting yourself go and just observing the changes and all the things that you see, waterfalls, all these things. It's like, this is the place, and that reminds me a lot, and I feel that it's spirit, I think mother is not just physical, it's also spirit that connects with us.
That's right.
And I could feel my mom's spirit even right here, and in our traditions we feel like even those who are passed on, we don't see them physically, but they are there. So you can have this amazing connection, which I think we all do. We are spirit in the first place,
For sure.
So it is very important that anytime that we get to a point where we couldn't handle ourselves again, we feel like, what, how do I get myself back? And the best thing is taking a deep breath and just, getting out into nature or doing something meditatively, which kind of brings you this fresh, energy or spirit that kind of lifts you up again. And it's like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm going to go. And I think the mother figure has done that all over the world, over and over again. So you see people, it's like, how did you do it? Wow, if it wasn't for my mom. He doesn't discount that, but it's just so powerful. There's that connection. And I think, from our traditions, I think we explain it with an umbilical cord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have even certain traditions where when a baby is born, the umbilical cord is such, had to be planted. So normally, like, you go there.
You return it to the earth.
Yes. So there is all these traditions that are so infused, and you grow up with it. And and me getting out into the world kind of give me a whole different, seeing other cultures, Native American, meeting Indians, other people. It's like, wow, there is this connecting thread about a mother, that should not be taken for granted.
Right.
Anyway, and this brings it to like the Jill, for instance, is a storyteller. And the Jill is used mainly in the northern part of Ghana. And it's amazing. It's something that, like, you got all this, they are more like recycled. But it's a storyteller. So basically, in the village, you have people like working themselves out. At the end of the day, they pull the Jill, they sit down, leg crossed, and then they'll start playing. So basically, as they feel, they begin to So,
What I love about what you just played, there's like, okay, I'm getting warmed up. I gotta figure out what it is, what mood am I in? So you just start a little bit, and then it takes form and it builds, and then it just, okay.
and it's
It
just
has-
like water, you know. I
Yeah.
kind of see, like, you know, like just feeling and visualizing is always the thing, and just getting out and seeing different situations or different sceneries, you know, whether it's a waterfall or a river flowing, you know, just a little drip, 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 or just looking at the skies, you know, which I call nature's canvas. You just look at it and it's like, it takes away, you know, you see that out body experience. And I think that's what mothers do. You know, it's like you, like the story you gave, this young boy, just a kiss on the spot. It's like magic.
It's magic. Because your belief is there,
Yeah.
you have so much trust in the healing power of that soul, that entity, that energy, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and you allow it to heal you.
That's the point. And
What is
you know,
it? Heal,
there's that
believe,
connection.
heal, and you shall be healed.
Yes.
Believe you will be healed.
And you'll be
shall
healed. Because that connection is there. That umbilical cord, we as men don't have. So there is always going to be a whole different dynamics between a mother's love, you know, when they are there for you, and, you know, the father's love. You know, it doesn't mean some fathers don't, you know, become like mothers. You know what I mean? But that's why I'm saying this is like a spirit.
And that,
You know, it's so defined that you could feel it, and that connection is something that we can never replicate.
and having a healthy connection there
Yeah.
allows you to have the healthy connection with the Father as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So, and that's it, because we are all creatures of, you know, we have
Mhm.
both inside of us, and we need both to be, you know, and nurtured. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a quick question about this instrument. You made this, yes?
Honestly, I didn't even make this
Didn't
one.
make
It's a
this
friend of mine in Ghana who does that. He's actually my schoolmate who ended up, you know, like really immersing himself. But I can make this because I know, you know, the template of it. It's all like words together. You know, if you look at it, bottom
Tied
over there,
underneath, yes.
tied underneath it. So it's more like, you know, just a kind of a wind instrument, because what you see is the sound from the wood, and this is mahogany, you know, just being pounded by these mallets,
Yeah.
which are actually recycled, you know, stuff,
I love it.
you know, which, you know, people use anything in Ghana to kind of make things. And then all the strings you see that are all skins. We don't throw things away.
Right.
You know, we have and again, we live in a place whereby you have all the meat and everything packaged for you when you go to the
You have no
groceries.
connection
But in
whatsoever
our
to
part
the
of the
animal.
world, yes,
Yeah.
you kind of respect every part of the animal. You don't throw anything away. The bones and that, you know, the skins, you know, for belts and sandals. So you could go on and on and on, and I did not even understand the depth of it till I traveled, you know. And then when I heard about recycling, I said, wow, we've been doing it like for, you know.
There was no
thousands
need
of
to
years.
recycle because you weren't wasting anything.
No, there's no waste,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, you know, looking at that and looking at how complex we are as people.
Yeah.
Taking that mother love and then using that, because we all have a different path. You are gonna be this woman in the long run, or this man, husband or wife, and you're gonna be moving on, you know, and whatever you kind of experience is gonna really come into, you know.
It's
and
what
my
you
grandma-
have to give to the
Yes.
next person.
It's a
yeah.
package, and my
Yeah.
grandmother would say, you know what? Hey, you a mom? It's like a life sentence, you know. Yeah, you're gonna get all those calls at night, and like, hey, mom, hey, you know, and those are some of the things that I think the elders, when we talk about keeping the traditions, is like, this is how you dress, this is how you do this is how, and it is passed on from generation to generation that, you know, really makes it very, very unique, you know.
In all that I'm surrounded with,
Mhm.
all of this art, all of this music, everything is designed to connect and bring energy in as a gift into other people's lives. One thing that I know about, but you never discuss because
Yeah.
it's not part of your art, is how educated you are. So
Does it really matter?
No, but it's wonderful because it does give you that world experience. And
Yeah.
you come from, a very important family. So early on, you had both a social and a political education beyond,
Yeah.
way beyond. Then you continued on into all your schooling, which was in Ghana,
Yeah.
but then leaving to go to London.
London, yes. Yeah.
And then continuing on here, and I mean, you have just immersed yourself continually
Yeah.
in education, and that does come out in where you do, because you have that broad knowledge base that you can use, and you use it to connect to other people. It has, like you said, it doesn't matter, because for you it was a tool. How do I best prepare myself to connect as deeply and as well as possible?
And again, that comes from, this amazing mom and her husband, like just took us, and my dad was, like GED, but
And what is that? I'm sorry, for
G-
anybody who doesn't know.
yeah, GED is more like over here, like having a general certificate.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he even got there. He got probably high school, but then he pulled himself up, through, I would say, the police. He joined the police and became one of the highest, like number 3 in the country. And the reason why he was number 3 is because he didn't have a degree to. So his goal was to make sure not only us, his children, but even his nephews and nieces. So he would do everything. And my mom being an educator, I felt like that was coming from her.
Yeah.
They would do everything to give you everything you need. I mean, I remember sometimes when, you just kind of didn't want to go to school, they would drag you and bring you to school. You see, so stuff like that so that I give them credit, because they give us those tools. And talking about London, after all that studies and teaching in high school, for national service we call it, and eventually starting to sort of build like myself, through the scholars and everything, collaborating with some Italian, Stefano, who built this big furniture. It wasn't just a furniture company. He has this gallery, and it was more of art.
Yeah.
So there was this gallery where you have all these, I would say, diplomats coming in and out. So they built that, and then eventually I got drawn into it, and I started producing, and working on, like, a diplomat will come, like Saudi Arabia's ambassador will come, and hey, I need this and that, I need a cultural stuff, and then I would just, give a couple of sketches, and eventually people started buying my art and taking them all over, and with my brothers all over Germany, Netherlands, and cousins here in the US. So I ended up, again, the mother and child, that kind of won not only an award, but kind of won me a place, in this exhibition for mothers and children. It was a Black mothers and children's exhibition in London, and over there I met this camp director, Ron Martins, who probably would see this, and eventually kind of say, hey, look, can you come to my camp? Had the music, saw my artwork, and the rest is history. Meet Don Givens, who is a native of Scranton, and he took me over to see like his upbringing. His daughter was at the camp, and we just collaborated, and it's like from there to Marywood College, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
from
is
there
now
with the
university,
curator, yep. And then to the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, and it's like, no, we're not going to let you go.
Yeah. Well, and you're still trapped, so.
Well, I am. So then family and
How many
everything.
years
So
later,
but it's an amazing thing. I think it's, to me, art it's not just the physical form. I feel like a form of art should bring, and I think when I was young in the Catholic school, that was something that pulled me, to become an artist. It should speak. It should touch people, either giving them peace, giving them that connection, because we are visual. We are wired visually mostly. And if you can look at an artwork and find peace in it, you are not worshiping it, but you are taking something out of it. That connection, and I think that is so vital, and you can get, you can't compare to what you get from Mother Nature herself. Getting out there into the woods, seeing all these, I would say, environmental, landscapes. What you see is enormous. It's infinite. Yeah. It's magic.
And as an artist, don't you feel that when you are in a place where you are creating art, or you are there's almost a feeling that you are tapping in to a well of something that is outside of what we see around us. So you're tapping into a well that we call creativity,
Yes.
for lack of another word, although it is that energy of creation, possibly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so much like the balancing forms, when you are drawing from here, you need to also bring it balanced here. So we're also acting as a channel.
Yes.
So you're drawing from the well of creativity, and you're acting as a channel from what needs to come through you.
Yep.
And it's just, it's a really humbling process.
It is.
Yeah.
And to me, it is very, very satisfying when you get to that point where you actually got lost, in the form that you are dealing with, and it brings me back to the village, because, there's no separation in the forms of art.
No separation?
No.
No,
There is
you're
no
right.
separation. Dance is connected to drumming, is connected to the visual art, and theater. So you got all this storytelling and everything. We don't see it as separated. They're connected. It's like that synergy. That energy, that spirit that connects. So, we have, and for the sake of education, separated all this, and like this is your specialty, right? But it is connected, and that is why the Africans believe in that circle. Yeah. That circle of life, that circle of, I would say, health. You could go on and on. That circle of being, who you are, and it's amazing because I think many a times we get lost when we kind of, I would say, cave into we cave into societal pressure or cultural pressure, that we are not able to kind of be ourselves, that child in us, and be able to express ourselves. And many a times, not to be able to say no, because sometimes we feel like we want to just please to belong. And I remember Mom always saying, you gotta be who you are, and I think we were blessed, lucky to have, folks like that who kind of drained that. And, did we get all that? No, but with time, sometimes you have to experience things to wake you up, and then all these memories, they come and they actually equip you. That's right. To
when
keep
you
moving.
need it's in there somewhere. She put the deposit in, and it's in there.
It's like a computer, You go to the memory, right?
Yeah. Looking for a file.
Yeah.
Do you feel like playing a little something?
Sure. I think there is an instrument that I haven't really played a lot. This is the talking drum, which is also part of our ensemble, like when we play together, my groups and Kofa, we get together and we are getting together again because now we are all vaccinated, so we can get out and just. But this is an instrument that marveled me a lot, and I got a connection with this, and my dreams of like, how is everybody thinking or connecting with nature in different cultures? And music for people brought this. I mean, I saw this the first time when one of the folks brought it out and started playing it, and it's like, whoa, it sounds like what? The steel pan, it sounds like the gong, from Himalayas and all these parts of the world, and the Native American, you could feel that boom sound, that sort of pause, it's like holds you down and just to allow you to breathe, and just be, and that I fell in love with it, and I started looking at how did this, come to be, and I realized there was a lady who went to, Trinidad and she comes from like Sweden, went to Trinidad to kind of learn the steel pan, but it was too difficult because you are restricted, and she couldn't get through that. But when she got back to Sweden, she still dreamt about it and said, you know what, I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna try to create something. And in the long run, she created more than just a steel pan. So this is called a rap, and I'm gonna play something. I love the ability of it to get you into that meditative state, whereby you are able to just relax,
I heard a quote last night, or read a quote rather, that said there are no new ideas, only new ways to feel them. This is why we need the arts.
I agree, 100%.
So this, everything that we have been talking about and everything that you studied for and your parents gave you wings for was to help all of us to find new ways to feel all of these things that make us so human.
Mm.
And I know that you have been teaching for almost as long as you've been creating.
Yes, yes.
And I'm sure when you're staring down a room full of 100 children all looking at you to be profound, that you probably feel like you've been teaching for many more years than you've actually had time to create. You know?
Yes. I think I'm getting to that point of getting back into creation right now. And I'm excited.
Yes,
Because,
you're finding the artist again and giving the teacher a little break.
Yes.
I'm glad for that.
Yes.
Although I'm also glad for the impression that you have given, the gift of expression that you have given to so many children. But especially as an educator, you have been placed continually, as you were saying, to give and to give. Of course, educators know we also receive from that process. But in all of those times of teaching, as you are there to be the artist, what is something that you are thinking about outside of that, or you wish that you could express or say as Kofi, you know, the soul inside of you? What has he wanted to say over all of these years?
I think over all the years, you know, and I feel like sometimes because of the kind of transformative, I would say, pose that you see or find yourself into, people really, it's just like, you know, seeing a celebrity, you know, you get drawn, but people don't realize that that person is as ordinary and human as you are, and that you can yourself be able to just give yourself the permission to soar and rise, like Maya Angelou said. I rise.
Still I rise.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting because I didn't see that in the beginning, because it's like you just put in that state and you just keep going, you know, so you don't really internalize. But then at a point I realized, you know what, I think you know, I need to allow students as well as the audience to kind of relate, you know, and you can control how anybody is feeling, but you just want them to, as you feel it, because you begin to realize that, look, you could do what I'm doing. You could do even way beyond that, because like you said, there's so much that we can be, so much that we can resolve. I think we as humans have used probably not even a quarter of our capacity, what we could do. We are now on Mars. Just imagine. But you know, it always comes to the arts. Like Baba said, if you could sing it, you could play it. If you could dream it, you can what? Live it. You know, if you could dream it and you put yourself into it. And I think the arts have this amazing, I would say the arts are like a catalyst, because you kind of get out whatever is suppressing or whatever is even making you happy. You're able to write it down. You know, you either write, you express yourself. These are all the art forms that it doesn't matter who you become. You could become a medical doctor, an astronaut, but you realize that this is the foundation. You know, and it brings us to nature. This is the foundation. Everything that natively we play or have been produced is emulating after a bird, an elephant, the sound of the trees brushing against each other, the waterfall. So you could go on and on and on, you know. And it's amazing. I don't even know how to even express it. Like people will ask, like, you know, what can the arts do? I can't even imagine. There's a lot that I can't even, you know, put my head to.
What is our capacity?
Yeah, because
to
it is way beyond that, you know, and the healing elements of it is so powerful that it's beyond medicine.
Well, don't you think, I mean, one of the ways that we could do exactly what you're saying is to return, or I can't say return, I have to say step forward
Yes.
into a society more like that in which you grew up in.
Yep.
Where the connection is everything.
Yep.
And the respect is there, and it creates a resonance into which all the energies are more balanced and can maybe sing together a little more in harmony.
I can agree with you any further because, I mean, you know, we in the Western world are so absorbed in this heterogeneous, you know, society whereby, yes, we support things, we do things, but there's always, like, you know, behind our minds, it's like you gotta benefit from it. But whereas in our society, it's like community, and you will see a lot of that sort of connection. And so the elder, or if you grow up, and we all grow up to become elders, because you realize, you know, you are in the position to, you know, and you become the head of the family because, you know, a while ago you were a child, now you become, and you have to kind of help bring the family together and all that. And you could see that homogeneous, you know, sort of element that brings the people together, and it becomes like a divine duty.
Yeah.
So it's like a mission that you are left with. It's like, if I don't pass this on, who is gonna do it? You know? And then you realize so strongly that, I mean, the artist himself or herself in that part of the world is not just an artist. You become more like a priest. You become like the interpreter of the myth or the unseen world, you know. So it's amazing to kind of like look at all that, and sometimes I feel like there hasn't been enough explanation or knowledge, you know, to kind of bring that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great stuff in the West that has really enriched, you know, the other part of the world. And I'm seeing that, you know, when that connection again, that synergy comes in, for us to treat all these structures of art, all these areas of art as one, it takes away that separation which limits, to me, and it does limit a lot of people who want to explode. They are limited because they have to work within a certain scope. If they don't, they're thinking of what, I'm not going to get my grade, I'm not going to graduate, and society is going to treat me this way. So we have this unseen, you know, sort of, I would say, unseen, unconscious sort of bias that kind of keeps us from
keeps a damper,
keeps it,
you know, as if there was a wet towel on top of that.
That is it.
Instrument. As you were playing it, you wouldn't get the resonance, and
that's the point.
Beautiful.
You know,
so you're straddling. Your spirit is trying to straddle, you know, the Western world with Ghanaian soul.
Yeah. and other traditions that I get exposed to.
Right. And you are trying to bring all that you were just speaking about,
Yeah.
the responsibility of an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And you might not even have words for this. How are you feeling about your place? I mean, there's a dear friend of mine that says this getting older thing, it's getting trippier and trippier.
It does.
How, what's your trip right now? Where are you at this point in your life?
I think at this point in my life, I know I'm not going to live here forever because, we have grandparents and the ancestors already gone before us. No matter what way we exit or we transition, through this world, I am feeling like the urgency, the urgency of really passing on the traditions and preserving the traditions are, so vital today than ever, because technology is great, and I feel technology really reinforces what all the foundations that we have, no matter what culture you're in. But the fact that there are some aspects that our children, may not have that experiential, sort of get through some of the process, which I don't think we can replicate, but the ability to document them, right, and to provide, even if it's technology, we could codify them in a way, we could work them out in a way through all this algorithm and all that, to be able to kind of get them to come close to experiencing some of the things that we have experienced. I think that will help because actually it gives them even more in-depth room to grow and to bring technology beyond, a point. And the other time we were talking about it, me and my son, I'm saying, you know what, Kojo, I'm saying, listen, you could be whatever you want to be, but you need to understand the foundations. And don't be surprised, because right now we talked about all kinds of what do we call it? I remember when we were growing up, you have sci-fi movies and all that, and you see a cell phone and all that stuff, and people flying in the air. It's like we have all this, not just playing and all that, and it was all the imagination. But guess what? It's happening today. If we can connect with a craft, all the way, millions and millions of miles, not on Earth, not on the moon,
but we
not
talk
on,
to them,
and we are able to connect. It's like, wow, what ability! How have we really undervalued who we really are? And that is what motivates me today. And at a point I looked at it like talking about, age, and it's like, oh gosh, I have probably 20 years left, you know what I mean? Or, 30 years left. So it's like, you know what? You gotta take all those stuff that distracts, whatever you need to do, whatever have to happen, so that you can easily or be able to at least motivate somebody else to pick up and realize the need to kind of really have all this, like preserve this different cultures. I don't think it's only Africa and Native America, but it's all over, and we realize that we're losing that, and these young folks actually. Let me step back a little bit, because there are some of them who are like old soul. They really, I know kids, like my own kid, like they're listening to music in the 40s. And I'm saying,
and it's all at their fingertips.
And it is all at their fingertips. That's why you listen. And I didn't kind of, and I'm saying, whoa.
They they are incredible assimilators. So we were taught to think in a linear fashion. They are going to be thinking in ways that
Yes.
we can't
No.
yet comprehend.
And it's amazing. I mean, that is encouraging to me.
Yeah.
But then I still have that urge. I have that, you know, what can I do, you know, to try to help preserve some
Yeah.
of these things that.
So, but
is beyond
that's you as the teacher and as the human.
Yeah.
And you as the artist. What's motivating you as an artist right now?
I think what is motivating me as an artist is just Mother Nature.
Because as you were talking
Yeah.
about technology and
Yeah.
connecting,
Mhm.
we're back to the mother and father
No,
energy again.
That's it.
And we have to have that balance.
And that is exactly what it is, because no matter how far you fly,
Yeah.
you come back. And that is why in my culture, Sankofa is like, don't forget the beginning,
Yeah.
you know, but move on. You know, it's like, don't forget it, because that's the foundation.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to hold that.
Energy connection.
That is it. So,
You
Yeah.
have been watching and enjoying and learning from Maxwell, Kofi, Donkor, multi-instrumentalist and artist and sculptor
yeah.
and teacher and really a beautiful soul. Kofi,
Thank
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yes,
again to
Kim.
the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts. My name is Kimberly Crafton, and I am the Folk and Traditional Arts Coordinator at the Everhart Museum, and we are a partner with the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts in their Folk and Traditional Arts Initiative. I'm going to exit the stage right now because we would be committing a crime if we didn't let you play another song. to
I
finish us out.
agree. I agree with you. So we'll just play this song. And this is a healing rhythm, you know. Whoa. Yo 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 yo. Oh yo 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 yo. Abajaye, abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, 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 abaja. That is the song of just our journeys on earth, our travels, and exodus. Abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, 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 abaja. Abaja. Ah. Cho. Chakele, chakele, oh, chakele. Abajaye, abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, abaja. Abajaye, abajaye, abaja. Oh, yo, 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 yo. Cho. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope this brings us some in-depth connection with, you know, ourselves and our moms, you know, during these times, and just relationship, you know, that can carry us, you know, over the moon, and, you know, and not be able to be afraid of being who we are, you know, no matter what, you know, sort of perspective or whichever area we find ourselves. And I believe strongly that, you know, as we actually treat each other the way we should be, I think we can, you know, bring that kind of peace that we desire, you know, in this world. So you be the change and change the world for what? For the better, because there's so much to give, you know, and so much to what? To receive. Thank you.